All right, what is good, everybody? Welcome back to another weekly trade recap. This is the week of September 22nd to September 26th, and I'm going to go over the 4 trades that I took this week. I think I took 4 trades. So starting off Monday, all right, going into this day, the bias was still bullish. Right. We look like this on the 1 hour. Right, we're respecting this consequent encroachment of this huge 4 hour wick. Right, and we're starting to see movement higher. Additionally, I wanted to see if we're going to disrespect these hourly fair value gaps, because if we did, our target's probably just going to be prior week high. Right. So what happens is, going into the morning, right? There's so many lines here. You respect this 15-minute fair value cap, create the SMT. You can kind of see this as manipulation, right? Manipulating lower, and then in movement higher, trades down, respect bullish fair value gap, and then expecting us to run all of this liquidity up here. It's going into the 1 minute. What happened is, right at the open, we ripped higher, right, displacing past these highs. Then we open up a nice 5-minute right here. 5-minute fair value gap. Oh, sorry. 5-minute fair value gap, right? We then trade into it. We get such a strong handle out. Entered right there long on the inversion of this 1 minute. Stop loss at the consequent encroachment of this fair value gap right here. And then break even at that high. Bang, break even there. Create the change in the state delivery, right? Touch the change in the state. Touch it one more time, reject. Continue rejecting, or continue to displace higher. And then bang. TP's hit for 1 to 3 RR. Thoughts on this trade? I think it was pretty solid. We had just so much low resistance liquidity above here that there's no way it doesn't get ran. There's like high time frame low resistance liquidity, like on a 15-minute. It looks like low resistance liquidity, which makes me even more confident. And we've been bullish, and it's all-time highs. So yeah. What else? Anything else to know about this trade? You could ask, why didn't we, or you could have wondered, why didn't we trade all the way down here before going up? In my mind, if we respected this 5-minute, there's no reason for us to trade lower, right? If we respect this 5-minute, I'm willing to take the risk that we're just gonna go pump higher. Another thing I want to mention is, I'll note something later in this trade recap, but when we only create one 5-minute fair value gap and get a retrace and then trade out of it, I noticed that it's much higher probability than if we pump, create 2 5-minute fair value gaps, tap into it, and then go higher. I don't know what it is about, time alignment when there's 2 different 5-minute fair value gaps, but I always see that, like, when there's 2 5 minutes, it always gets kind of sketchy on the retrace if we're gonna hold them. Yeah, was the trade on Monday. Right after that, we just kept pumping. I did want to hold to all-time highs, but it was a Monday. I just wanted my piece of the pie to start off the week, right? I would hate if Monday started off like the week started off. I was holding to here, had a great trade, and I got tapped to break even. That would have pissed me off. So I decided to just take my 1 to 3, start off the week green. Although this did play out here. I think we tapped maybe another 5 minute. Alright, we tapped into that 5 minute. And then triple equal highs. Grand all-time highs, right? Yeah. So that was Monday. Let's go over to Tuesday now. While I get there, my sickness is getting a lot better. I feel much better compared to the days before that. I think my cough has gotten a lot better. All right, going into Tuesday. Let's see. Can't remember what my bias was, but I'm pretty sure I was bullish until proven wrong here. All right. I remember this day. Then I wanted to see if this 4 hour would hold or if this 4 hour would hold. And we were going to be bullish. Right. So what does market do at open? Right. 9:45 open. We trade a little bit lower. So that could be manipulation, right? Sweeping out like all these lows, accumulation, manipulation, distribution to prior day high. I think that could have been very obvious. I would have loved, I think there's a 1 hour right here. Yeah, I would have loved to see this discounted 1 hour to get hit. Or if you take this range right here, this is perfect EQ of the range here. But instead, you could look at this as EQ, and we already tapped EQ. We don't need to trade all the way down here. That is a little bit of a question I have, but I will find an answer to that. Continuing on, right? I think this day was just pure chop. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't actually take a trade this day. Oh yeah, I remember this. So we came down, we just chopped the entire session, and what I was waiting for is like at this point, I'm not as bearish or not as bullish anymore because we're not really displacing higher, and we had created these 2 5-minute fair value gaps, created a 15-minute fair value gap, and at this point we had created a 30-minute fair value gap. So I wanted to wait until we traded into here and saw the reaction that we got, whether we're gonna respect it or disrespect it. I'm willing to trade down to EQ of the range. But I was so sick this day, and looking at this made me even more sick. But I was waiting for this exact setup to happen, and I just marked it out in hindsight. Right, so we accumulate, we manipulate, take out all of this liquidity, tap into the 30-minute, tap into the 15-minute, and we get this very clean 1-minute inversion out right here. I think there's could be even an SMT, right? Yeah, like there's an SMT right here as well. So this is A plus, but I was already logged off by then, and the PA was just making me like want to throw up. But unfortunately, this does get break even. Like you'd probably hold to something like this. This did get break even here, right? And there was a little bit of a re-entry right here, just because this is a really solid setup. I think you could re-enter right there. I think this also gets break even. Just like because there's an SMT, right? It's just like days like this where PA just is not going to deliver. Like you probably would have had to go break even right there. Bang. Unless you've got crazy conviction in your drawn liquidity, but you would have gotten stopped out, right? Which is why the break even is in place. But it's like, dang. What is this? You know what I mean? Literally accumulating the entire day. Unless here you just go for like a 1-to-1. But even barely, you'd barely get it. And depending on how you get filled, maybe you fill down here, it's not a 1-to-1. Yeah, Tuesday was just massive chop. And I just logged off early, like 10:30, I think. I was off the charts already. Or not 10:30. I think like right here I got off because it was literally, after we tapped into the 30-minute, there was no movement. Like, all right, I'm done. And then boom, we had movement. So whatever. I mean, save myself from a break-even day, I guess. But nothing too crazy there. Guess this one could have. No, this one's not a 1-to-1 either. Yeah. Alright, but that was Tuesday's price action, right? And honestly, yeah, there's not much there to look at. The only thing Tuesday did was set the tone for the rest of the week, I'd say. Right, because after Tuesday, bearish, because this 4 hour got inverted. This 4 hour got inverted. We created this 4 hour fair value gap, traded higher during London. Now I'm looking for us to respect this fair value gap and honestly take out all of these draws and liquidity here. Right, Tuesday set the tone for the rest of the week. Right, Monday we traded higher. Tuesday dumped. Wednesday traded back into Tuesday's range. Now I'm looking for Tuesday to dump again. So going into Tuesday right here, right? So, or sorry, Wednesday. So this is that 4 hour fair value gap I'm talking about, right? I'm looking to be bearish on this day unless we start pumping higher and inverting this 4 hour. Then I could see us running all of this low resistance liquidity over here, right? But that's only true if we invert this 4 hour. Right at market open, we dump, right? I think I woke up late on this day because I was sick. I wasn't feeling too well. There was a little bit of a mech model right here that someone in my group took. And I want to say, like, I thought this was pretty good. The only thing is that it's counter trend, which is like, I'll show later. I have an example of a mech model that I took that lost just because it's counter trend, but you know, mech models are so strange because you need to be aligned with the higher time frame bias too. But at the same time, it feels like you're trying to catch a reversal with the mech model. Like there's an unfilled 5 minute right here, right, that he's targeting. And I totally understand why. But taking like something like this, like you would think this is almost like guaranteed. But, you know, like, I don't know, the mech model. I need to do a little bit more research and a little bit more back testing on it. But it does feel like you need higher time frame bias on the mech as well. Like we're clearly bullish here, bearish here, so you don't want to take like, you know, some random 1 minute inversion to the upside because that's a high probability of failing. So this mech fails, we dump lower. I actually log on somewhere around here, and this is a perfect example of of a continuation model. All right, we to dump, create a 15-minute fair value gap. If this 15-minute fair value gap opens up, or this 15-minute candle closes, this opens up, right? We trade right into that 15-minute, leaving relative equal lows right here, low, low, and this is a low right here. All right, we have this generated liquidity, this accumulation, manipulation, distribution. If I was on the computer, I would have ripped this. I would have taken something like this. All right, this would have been something I would have taken. What ended up happening though is this. All right, we created another SMT with this high, and I think I entered somewhere like over here. Oh yeah, I have it right there. What am I doing? I entered somewhere right here. My stop loss at the SMT high. I did go. My original break even was right here, but you know, after seeing yesterday's price action and today's price action, I was like, nah, dude, I'm not gonna hold through all of this. Here's our SMT. I'm not holding through all this. I'm gonna go break even if we created another swing low right here. Sorry. And I told myself if we take this low and we soup it, I'm gonna go break even. I went break even right there, and then I got stopped out, and then we dumped. We just immediately dumped to the downside, and I was like, dang it. But in my defense, like, this didn't even play out. This went straight back to break even. Like, that's why I'm so defensive with my stop loss during like choppy price action like this. I'd rather be defensive than get wicked out of a trade and cost capital. Right, I'm not here to gamble. I'm here to take calculated strategic risks. Right, but this trade eventually does play out. And I'm just not comfortable holding through all of this, especially if I would have entered here. And my break even was right here. Maybe, no, I still would have gotten broken even because once we hit this, break even, bang. Alright, maybe if I would have entered on the inversion, like I would have gotten break even right here, that would have been even more upsetting. I probably would have taken a partial though. Partial at like this low for 1 to 2, but it's okay, it's whatever. But yeah, that break even is pretty brutal. But we go down and then we do hit this draw on liquidity right here, which is prior to low. Like, take out all of this right here, on the sell side. And then I see this 1 minute mech with like an SMT at the low, pretty clear displacement. We have a 5 minute fair value gap that was opened up. Low resistance liquidity here. Like the difference between this generated liquidity and something like this generated liquidity, just the swing high that created the 5 minute fair value gap is like, I feel like it's different. All right, so I did take this on Top Step, not on all my accounts, just because of choppy price action. But this looks so clean, I had to take it. Yeah, and it hit in like 3 minutes. Yeah. So like I like this mech because we generated liquidity here. We had 1 failure swing, 2 failure swings, and then a really good candle going through it. And we also had like all of this low resistance liquidity after sweeping external range liquidity. I think mech works best from external to internal range, not like internal to internal. What I mean by that is like so we create something like this. Let's say there's a 4-hour fair value gap and we're trying to trade a mech. Oops. There's a 4-hour fair value gap like here. And then you're trying to trade an inverse off of this. This is lower probability than if this was like prior day high or prior day low or Asia low, Asia high. Like that. So external range liquidity, internal range. All right, that was Wednesday. Let's go to Thursday. Thursday. Okay, so Thursday is where I took most of my losses for the week. I think I took 3 trades this day, and I lost 2 of them, and I got break even on 1 of them. Right. So going into the morning, I was super bearish. I really wanted to see this prior week low get taken, which is also a weekly fair value gap. And we were rejecting off of this 15-minute. So I want to see a continuation lower, like open. I wanted to see ideally trade down, create a 15-minute to happen, 15-minute and dump. Right, so right at the open, we do that. And this is the example I'll talk about. 2 5-minute fair value gaps opening up. Right. This is the scenario of the 2 5 minutes. We did tap into an unfilled 15-minute fair value gap on this side over here, which is what caused our rejection higher. But I did not expect this to hold the way it did. So if we keep going, keep playing price out, right? This 5-minute was opened up, and then we did have a 3-minute inversion out, but it didn't invert, and it would have failed pretty hard. Right, so it just keeps pumping and ripping higher. And we even invert this 15 that I should have seen. At the time though, we didn't invert the 15 yet. I thought we created an SMT right here. Create an SMT at this candle. See how the ES had already had the high taken out, and then we had a 1-minute inversion to the 5-minute down here. And this is the mechs that I'm talking about. These are like pattern trade mechs. Like there's no generated liquidity here. They have 1 failure swing low. I think for me, if I'm gonna take a mech model, it needs to have like accumulated liquidity, like these highs right here. Like if you take these highs right here and you put them right here, I think it would have been a much higher probability trade. But I've just been losing so much on these like V-shaped, like not V-shaped. V-shape is a good thing, but like straight up and then trying to catch a mech down. That's like trying to stop a train with my face, you know what I mean? Like we're clearly bullish. Just because a mech presents itself doesn't mean that I need to take the trade. Right. So then what happens later? Right. I wanted you guys to note that I want to note that there's this 1 hour. Right, and within this 1 hour there's a 15-minute. And this was a really good learning process for me to stay patient. We're starting to accumulate. I was like, okay, perfect. Accumulation, manipulation, distribution. We manipulate here. And I was like, we didn't touch the 15-minute, but we have an SMT, we have a turtle soup, we have the 1-minute inversion fair value gap with pretty good displacement. Right? Like this could be my manipulation. And keep in mind, I'm hella short bias, right? So this is a mech to the unfilled 15. Or it's the unfilled. Yeah, unfilled 15 right here. Alright, so this would be a mech, and that has low resistance liquidity generated, right? And a higher time frame drawn liquidity. This does not feel like I'm stopping a train with my face, but this does get stopped out. And then we do trade into the 15-minute inside of the 1 hour, create an SMT, and then we have our inversion. So I take this one at 2. I go break even. Where do I go break even? I'm gonna break even somewhere around here, or at the 15-minute here. And this one I was gonna hold to this internal low. So this one's like almost stops me out again. About to lose my stuff. And then we finally get this 1 minute inversion. I'm like, all right, 1 minute inversion plus change in the state delivery here, and we're gonna get another change in the state delivery here. Like this should play out. Bang. So, all right, tap into the CISD, and then dump. Stay below the 50% of this inversion fair value gap. And then we move lower. All right. I'm break even at this point, and I'm like, all right, this 1 minute fair value gap should hold. It gets inverted. I was like, this is not good. All right, we still tap into the CISD. Okay, we're dumping. Perfect. We create an order block there. Dumping even harder. At this point, I should have probably just taken profits, but I have a drawn liquidity. I have a plan. I'm not gonna deviate from that. I think we even create a 5 minute fair value gap here. Yeah, I was like, probably could have taken profit here at the 5 minute instead. But I don't know. I guess it was a little bit emotional. I wanted to get what I lost back. And, you know, this is not like a unreasonable place for price to end up. Like a 15-minute fair value gap with a swing low. If we're gonna go higher, probably trade into that. And like a little bit of EQ of the range, you know what I mean? Yeah, but this 5 minute ended up rejecting price higher, and bang, stopped out at break even. So that was like a pretty tough day mentally. I had sized up on this day too. I started risking 450 instead of 350 on my funded account, so this loss hit pretty hard. And things to note on this day, I just gotta be patient. Like deep down, I knew that there was this 15-minute fair value gap there, but I still took this because I don't know, this looked so good already. Like you had everything you needed. SMT, turtle soup, inversion, low resistance liquidity. But the market wanted to hit the 15-minute before going lower. And this is just stupid. I shouldn't have never taken this trade. I need generated liquidity before I take something like this. Like this was really bad. I think this one was okay. This one was okay. This one was kind of okay. But this just going for the 5 minute. Yeah. This was a really bad loss. That's okay. Right, we learned from it. Not gonna happen again. Alright, going into Friday though. Friday hit the biggest trade of my career so far. Still bearish. Let's go to the higher time frame. Still bearish towards these lows. We had generated liquidity here, generate liquid, like low resistance liquidity right here. If you look on the 1 minute at 9:30, we had all this low resistance liquidity here. This is all accumulation, manipulation into what? Into a 4-hour fair value gap that's resting at equilibrium of this discounted, or of this like down move. Right, so we tap into a 4 minute and a 4-hour change in the state of delivery. So not really using to change in the state too much, but it is there. The 4-hour fair value gap. Alright, so I'm pretty bearish. I want to see this 4-hour get respected, and I want to see us trade lower. So going in the morning, I see a couple places that could send us lower. This 5 minute, and we didn't create 50 minutes, so just this 5 minute. So if we're gonna be bearish, we're either gonna what? Displace, create new fair value gaps, new condition, trade into them, and then go lower, or we're gonna trade into this 5 minute that's holding us. That should hold us lower if we're bearish. If this gets disrespected, then we're just probably gonna invert this 4-hour. I'm probably gonna run both of these Asia highs, London highs, and more. But let's get into it. All right. So market opens. Oh, sorry, market open here. We did trade lower, then boom, instant displacement higher. But this didn't really trade off of anything. Maybe this 15 minute, but the way I saw it is it's generating this low, this low, this low, where we left this low intact. Right, this low is lower than this low. This is low resistance liquidity to me. And I really want to see my short bias play out still. So here we start to accumulate. And right here, we tap into the 5 minute. ES is already way higher. We create the SMT with ES. Right, internal and external SMT with London highs from prior day, and then boom, we get that instant displacement lower. And although this didn't inverse, I kind of pre-fired it a little bit, but I was very confident in this draw on liquidity and this hitting. Right, we have even more generated liquidity here, and from this, man, we just straight dumped. Went break even right here because we created the change in the state of delivery. We trade up and do it, reject. And then bang! I think I hit my first TP right here. I took partials out here at 2.5 R. And I'm holding all the way to run all this low resistance liquidity and hit this 15 minute unfilled fair value gap. And then eventually this does play out and does hit. This was 141 points. The biggest trade yet. I took my losses yesterday and I hit this big one. This does remind me of a 2 days where a couple weeks ago, where we had like Asia high and London high right above it, and I kept trying to force longs to the highs, but we were so choppy. I think I took like 3 different trades long. Same scenario as Thursday. I took 3 trades long. I think I lost 2 of them, break even on 1 of them. Exact same scenario. And then the day after that, like the draw on liquidity hit. So sometimes I think like you can't force your way in the markets. You're gonna get wrecked if you try to force your way into the markets. Because sometimes it's just not gonna hit the draw on liquidity. You need to accept that, and you need to be prepared for those days, because you can't lose your account. You can't lose your ass trying to trade. like try to force this. Right. If I would have taken like another inversion here, or like another inversion here, trying to force my draw on liquidity, it doesn't work out. Like sometimes you just need to wait for the next day, and better setups will present itself. Like, yeah. All right. Anyways, that is all for this weekly recap. I am pooped of talking, so I'm gonna end it here, and I'll catch you guys on Monday for another trading day. Peace out.